What's the weirdest thing you've seen happen at a friend's house that they thought was normal? My childhood best friend lived with his grandparents. His grandfather was a clockmaker. He mostly restored them. Their large 2-story house's walls were covered in old restored grandfather and cuckoo clocks. Each one had a small sticker with a number so he could keep track of them all. The highest number I saw was over 700. I would say 25% of them were wounds, so every hour you were treated to a symphony of clocks. I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid, but those clocks were fantastic pieces of workmanship. For all the creepy stories on this thread, this one is nice and wholesome. This happened when I was like 6. I needed to use the bathroom at a friend's house and he led me to his parents' bathroom. The place was filled with crap of all sorts. Boxes, magazines, an inflatable pool, lots of other stuff. You could barely get in there. He pulled out a drawer from the installed cabinet by the entryway and said to pee in there. I thought he was joking until he went ahead and peed in there himself. I couldn't argue with that, so I too peed right in there. Then he shut the drawer and we went and played more Ninja Turtles. I have no idea what became of that drawer house family. Man, that's sad. It's really hard for children of hoarders to break free from hoarding. They're just too used to tolerating bad conditions rather than fixing them. I knew a guy whose mom's house was like that. He did his best to live with higher standards, but his best was still like a party frat house. Although, I guess to be fair, some of my friends who grew up in normal houses also live like they're in a frat houses. My mom is a hoarder and I think I ended up pretty normal, thanks God. But now when I visit I definitely can't believe I actually used to live in that place. I don't even understand how I could cook my meals, considering everything was always full of dirty dishes and plastic containers and shit. I grew up in a very cluttered home. My dad has hoarding issues, but because it was never filth, only lots and lots of stuff. He is somewhat valid in his claim that he is a pack rat. Our garage was so full of dusty old crap, we could only ever store more stuff in there. No parked cars, no usable workspace, not even useful storage space like cabinets and shelves. Just piles of stuff. His office was the same way, old files and old computer parts. Any available counter space in the kitchen was fair game for putting piles, like 8+ inch tall piles, of mail and papers and more stuff. I only ever realized how much my mom fought the relentless battle of clean countertops until they divorced. Within days to weeks the entire kitchen was largely unusable. I had to move piles of old papers off the stovetop to cook. I try to run a tight ship in my own home now. Working restaurant industry work for a while, and having had a very similar roommate led me to pristine conditions as my main coping strategy to de-stress. I vacuum my carpets twice weekly as a general rule, and I avoid furniture with shelves or cabinets where I can to prevent the possibility of generating clutter to begin with. Rich friend's family had rooms not touched in weeks that had vomit on the bed sheets from one of their parties. Sounds like the maid walked off. My mother-in-law used to clean houses. The wealthiest people were also the most helpless. Once she cleaned up a mouse that had been dead for a week. The family just stepped around it. Someone was in the bathroom, so the kid who lived there went into the back garden, took a shit in the flower bed and shoveled dirt on top of it. The bathroom was free by the time he'd finished. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Frustrated FAK to celebrate. When I was a kid the neighbor's TV was always at 75% volume or higher. They'd literally sit in the living room and scream at each other over the TV on blast. My partner's friends do this but with music. The dad always has the music on full blast so everyone has to yell to have a conversation. I hate going to their house. Also I hate having them over because, since they have to yell at home, they talk that way all the time. They're just super loud all the time. They're really nice people but I can't stand being around them. Maybe they all have hearing damage at this point. Saw my friend spit in her house, straight onto the carpet. I didn't go back. It's been a full 90 seconds since I read this and I still can't focus enough to move on to the next one. I'm learning that it's the filthy people who shock me. I guess I expect perverts, but peeing in bathroom drawers and spitting on the carpet is too much for me. One time I was at my friend's house while his dad was working late. His mom brought home 2 Little Caesars pizzas for us, his brother, his parents. By the time his dad got home from work, there was no pizza. So his dad just made himself a salad for dinner. No one got screamed at until they cried. Edit, well shit, I didn't see this coming. I'm sorry, dude. I was shocked the first time I saw normal parents too. Posts and threads like this make me realize I take a lot of things in my life for granted that I should appreciate more. I have an opposite one because I had the weird family. In high school I had a sleepover and one friend went to the kitchen in the middle of the night and saw my dad inebriated, in his underwear and stained shirt, on his knees in front of the fridge drinking mustard out of the bottle. Monday rolls around and the rumors have spread and I was like, wait. All your dads don't do that too. Lol BTW, he did in fact have his own separate mustard bottle. This just reeks of questions I'm afraid to ask. Safe to say dad and a drinking problem. Edit these replies y'all now. For sure. He was a functioning alcoholic for decades. He is doing much better the past couple of years at least. My dad never made it to much better the past couple of years, so remember once in a while to tell him you notice, and you like it. It's a big deal. He'll make sure to mention it more often. I am very proud of him. I had a friend in high school whose mother was from Jamaica. His family would colon cleanse together every year. I guess it was customary from his mom's culture. So literally they'd take medicine to make themselves shit their brains out for a day or two every year. Notable mention, they only had one bathroom. Don't know the details about Jamaica, but in some tropical developing locations it's pretty common for kids to get dewormed each year. I'm from Trinidad and it was normal to get dewormed. My mom would make sure we would take it on Fridays just to avoid half to the runs in the school bathroom. Lol, it was also a family affair. Well, if you don't do the whole family at once, the worms just get passed back and forth again. It's not preventative, it's curative medicine. X5? Amount of smoke alarm battery warning beeps, all going off every 10 minutes. No need to replace the batteries. Just get used to the beeps going off randomly, and then sometimes all at the same time. How do you live, or even sleep with that happening? This was a huge thing while teaching virtually this year. My mom's a teacher. She talks about this all the time. She got to the point where she started calling the fire station and having them send someone over to change their batteries and explain that the beeping isn't normal any time she heard it. Friend's amputee grandpa demanded to watch everyone in the bathroom when they went. He had a mirror so he could watch you. When I didn't fall for that, they put shampoo in my hair so I'd have to take a shower. Noped the F out and called my mom. Friend didn't think it was odd. Edit, lol 3 wholesome awards? Thanks. Edit, I think my FAQ edit didn't save. 1. Did I tell my mom? No, I did not. I felt embarrassed about it. 2. Who put the shampoo in my hair? My friend did. 3. I am a woman. And here's some random information. I remember my friend's dad having to piss with the door open so that grandpa could watch him do it. I also remember the grandpa pissing into a jug in front of everyone. I also remember crying and saying I wanted to go home and they wouldn't let me call my mom, so I kept crying until they finally gave in. A neighbor's dad was an avid fisherman and he used these electrode things in the lawn to get worms to come up that he was gonna use as bait. He would also eat some of the first ones to come up to check if they tasted right. If not, he would remove the electrodes and try again another day. Now I need to know how they're supposed to taste and why this man knows what fish like in a bait worm. I remember asking what they were supposed to taste like and I never really got a clear answer. I didn't think to ask him how he knew what they liked though. When I was 9 or 10 I stayed at this friend's house for the first time. So we were sitting at the kitchen table eating noodles and his mum said something, to which he screamed back at her, "Get duck Sharon." She didn't even bat an eyelid, didn't even care. I couldn't help thinking what would happen if I tried that at home. It would have been at least an ass whooping. Were you eating with the Osbournes? Serve ice cream with their hands. My cousin once dated a guy who did that. We were at my aunt's house for a birthday party and when it was time for cake and ice cream this guy refused cake and said he'd just have ice cream. He walked over to the table, popped the top off the ice cream carton, grabbed a handful of ice cream and was walking around with his handful of ice cream dripping all over the place like it was totally normal.